Happy October, everyone! I hope your September was truly magical and that you are ready for the final quarter of the year. Today we are doing our monthly reset routine. So why don't you grab yourself a notebook and a pen, some cleaning supplies and a cover, and let's get into the video. In my last video, I showed you some of the process of Dave building this shelving unit. It is not quite finished yet. Today he is going to be working on putting some shelves into this section and then also doing the doors. This one here will have some drawers and then some more cupboards over here as well. But I feel like just this top section up here that stores all our boxes just really makes such a difference in the garage. Half of this stuff over here is for Dave's work and won't be sticking around, so that will clear up a lot of space in this shelving system here to start maneuvering some of this stuff in there, and will give us a lot more free space in the garage. But that's what it's looking like currently. I'll show you what it looks like at the end of the day. For today's cleaning motivation, I'm going to be doing some deep cleaning in the kitchen. So the first thing that I did was remove all of the grates from the stovetop. I generally give it a good wipe down on the stovetop, but I've never actually scrubbed the grates before. I don't know even if that's what they're called, but that's what I'm calling them. So I'm giving them a little bit of a scrub with a scrubbing brush and some hot soapy water. And then I'm also taking out part of the range hood. Don't know the precise name for that either, but I noticed the other day that it was a bit grimy, so that needed a really good scrub also. And then I'm going to maneuver into the pantry, just wiping out this little wine rack at the top there, which is used to store basically everything other than wine. We don't really drink, certainly not wine. And then I'm also going to remove the things from the pantry shelves and give those a spray and wipe as well. And I also wanted to show you guys some of the storage solutions that I have in my pantry. I do have like a little bamboo tiered tray that I use for like cans and whatnot. And then I also have different sort of glass jars. Some of them I have purchased, but also if we have coffee and finish that jar, I will typically give that a wash out and reuse those jars as well. And then I also love the two little lazy Susans that I have. One here has all of our coffee and tea and condiments, and then another one has different sauces. And then the last kitchen job that I will do today is just give the under sink cupboard a bit of a wipe out and rearrange. Let's talk monthly goals. I usually like to have something really tangible so that I know it is achievable for me, but some of the things that I've written down for this month include no buy days or decrease weekly spending overall, more whole foods for health, but then also because whole foods are a lot more inexpensive, and weekly meal prep for organization and efficiency, but also for that frugality as well. And I feel like as I was writing these things down, the real idea that was coming to mind was that I really wanted to double down on decreasing my weekly spending this month and then throughout the rest of the year. If you didn't watch my spring reset video, I talked to you guys through how I've been budgeting and tracking my finances thus far throughout the year. And in September, I had a heap of bills come out, water, electricity, roadside assistance, home and contents, which was huge. Obviously, some of those are going to crop back up again, and some of them are more yearly expenses, but I really do want to be more mindful of my spending as we enter in the last quarter of the year, particularly the fact that my maternity pay from school is now finished. So our combined income is significantly less, and I just want to see what our capacity is to live on even less and to be more frugal and do more things ourselves and enjoy more free activities. So I might even put together a video for October or November where I sort of take you guys through a no spend or low spend week, just as a little challenge for myself, or maybe to motivate any of you that want to save more and spend less as well. I'm making myself another loaf of the Nordic seed and nut bread. The first one was so good, and this one turned out tasty as well, but just not quite as good as the first loaf. So I'll need to perfect my baking with that. And then I have also been bits and pieces going through my wardrobe and just pulling out any shoes or clothes that I want to donate, and I'm just putting those in bags. 2 bags are for my cousin to have a look at, and 1 bag I will eventually take to Vinnie's or some other op shop to donate. And then I'm just gonna go into the media room and give that space a little spruce up as well. My dining table is set up for spring, but I decided that I'm going to embrace Halloween even the tiniest little bit and just set up a Halloween-esque dining table situation, just with some dark books and a very yummy apple spice candle in a cauldron shape. It is so cute. I have truly struggled to get through my books this month, and I feel like the main reason for that is that every time I go to the library and I borrow things for Hunter, I have a peruse for stuff for myself, and I inevitably always find something. So I'm constantly bringing books home, and sometimes I'm just sort of having a flick through them and reading bits and pieces here and there, and sometimes I'm reading them cover to cover. But either way, it's definitely contributing to the overwhelm of reading that I've got going on. So these are the 3 books that I had selected for the month. And then I also picked up this one from the library, which I have been reading cover to cover. And then here is a selection of some of the other ones that I borrowed from the library that I was just sort of flicking through and reading bits and pieces here and there, mostly some non-fiction in sort of like the health and wellness type of realm, which was fun to balance with some of my other fiction reads. But firstly, I'll talk about the one that I didn't have on my TBR, and I just came across it. It was Just Got Real by Jane Fallon. I had last year maybe read another one of hers. It was Strictly Between Us, and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw this on the shelf as a recommended read that someone had borrowed and really enjoyed, I decided to give it a go. And it just says, as a little bit of a blurb, you can fake anything online. When happily divorced Joni is reluctantly talked into joining a dating app, she's surprised to quickly hit it off with Ant. Phone calls and texts soon evolve into a plan to meet up, which is a problem as Joni's profile picture is of someone else. Joni daren't confess her lie, yet unable to stop thinking about what might have been, she hatches a plan to meet Ant in real life without revealing who she really is. When she and Ant are an item, however, it's soon clear that the only thing Ant has been honest about was was his profile picture. He's still online dating and intimately texting other women. So Joni contacts them. They need to know. And once they're comparing notes on ants, upset turns to thoughts of revenge. But how do you truly get your own back on a heartless man? And I immediately wasn't super drawn into this. It probably took me maybe a good 6 or 7 chapters to start sort of getting into where they realize that Ant isn't who he originally established that he was, and then things got super interesting from there. So for me, this was like a very sort of slow creep in. I'm not 100% finished it, but because I've been overwhelmed with books, I now need to return this back to the library. So I won't be able to get it done before I need to return it, unfortunately. I can try and crank out a few more chapters tonight, but I do need to take it back tomorrow. So nevertheless, I am going to rate this as currently a 4 out of 5. I feel like despite the slow start, it has been very intriguing, you know, the last little bit, and I've been, you know, wanting to do just another chapter, and I feel like for me that's a mark of a good book, when you know that 1 chapter a day / night is not quite enough. Then the next one I've been reading is Lisa Jewell's None of This Is True. I found similarly at the start, it was very difficult for me to really get captivated by it, but as it's been going on, I've been more and more intrigued as the main sort of character. Her web of lies is just becoming very interesting, and you're wondering like what has truly happened. I am very suspicious that potentially she has committed some crimes that she has not owned up to at the present. But the only thing about this book is the main 2 characters, I guess you will, and even like subsequent like secondary characters, I don't like them. I don't like any of them. And I don't necessarily think that most of them are meant to be likable, but it would be nice to at least like someone in the book. Nevertheless, I definitely would say that this is a thrilling book, and it just seems like I really don't know what to believe at this point, and I have my suspicions of what's going on. But I feel like it's definitely keeping me on the edge of my seat. I'm probably also going to rate this as a 4 out of 5. Still not completely finished it, so I need to try and round that off in the next couple of days, which shouldn't be too hard. It is a fairly easy read once I've sort of gotten into it a little bit more. However, disappointingly, I have been quite struggling with this one, Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I've read a couple of hers before that I really did enjoy, but I feel like just everything about this is a bit of a switch up. She's used to writing like more spicy type romance, and even though this has like moments of intensity in it, I feel like it's definitely more of like a soft cutesy type romance. The fact that the kind of main plot twist, if you will, is the fact that the girl is writing secret admirer letters to the love interest. Definitely is like a little bit too cutesy for me. It's also set in Napa, which I feel like is a very romantic type location, but just not somewhere that I particularly enjoy as a setting. And the thing that annoys me is I didn't realize that it was the sequel to this book, but I have that as well, which is Unfortunately Yours, and it's based on one of the secondary characters in this one is the protagonist in that book. And now that like I'm not super enjoying this so much and I'm thinking about that character and my opinions of her, I'm just not even sure if I'm going to enjoy the sequel. but I bought it brand new, like I haven't borrowed it, so I feel like I owe it to myself to at least give it a try. So that will be on the TBR at some point later down the line. This one's been the one I've been struggling with the most. As you can see, I probably got the most to read out of it. However, a good chunk of this last little section here is a preview of the next novel, so it's the first chapter. But for me, I'm probably going to rate this as maybe, I feel like a 3.5, although it is a generous 3.5. There's like nothing that's really prompting me to keep going, but it's not bad enough for me to stop reading at this point. So I'm just gonna keep plowing through it and see what I think at the end of things, but I can't imagine that my rating is going to increase. And then my last book this month is Anxiously Attached by Jessica Baum, and I have really liked this. I'm probably going to rate this as maybe a 4.5. However, I feel like that rating is very specific to me because this is a non-fiction. It's based on sort of like more a relational psychology. Unless you are someone who identifies as being anxiously attached, I don't feel like you would find any worth in this book. For me, I am anxiously attached. I am someone who wants to have like a deeper understanding of my attachment wounds and become more secure in my attachment. So psychology is very intriguing to me at the moment. It's something that I'm sort of just investigating for my own personal interest. But I don't feel like that's going to be up everyone's alley, obviously. I have been highlighting as I've been reading, and I've got lots of bits of highlighter in there. I didn't do it at the start, but then as I was reading, I'm like, oh, there's like lots of little good things here that I can take away. So I started highlighting, and I feel like I will probably come back to this book, and even if I don't read it cover to cover, which I probably won't, I will probably at least read the highlighted sections and maybe other subheadings and whatnot, just to refresh my knowledge. But yeah, I found this one really good. So overall, I don't think it was a bad reading month, but it wasn't my best either, because I did feel like I had a hard time getting a good start on almost all of those books except for the last one. And considering that I still need to finish them all off, it's likely that that will go into October, but won't take me the whole month. So I decided, rather than stacking my plate up with a heap of reading material for October, I'm just going to pick one, because it's likely that I will find more things at the library. So the one that I selected this month is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. And this was actually given to me by a work colleague, because I was talking to him. He's from America, and I was saying that when I traveled over there back in 2010, so long ago, I did a big bus tour with a heap of different people that I didn't know. It was really fun, and I got to see a ton of locations, and one of the places that we went to was Savannah, Georgia, and I absolutely loved it. I love like all of those really southern style towns, and he says that this novel is set there, so I may also like that. It just says on the back, "It was my good fortune that the people I met and wrote about were highly original, full-blown literary characters who were absolutely compelling without any help from me. A crazy quilt of oddballs, posers, snobs, sorcerers and outlaws, John Brent's seductive portrait of Savannah society, framed by the notorious trial of antiques dealer Jim Williams for murder, became an international bestseller and an instant classic." So this is actually a true crime, which I typically don't gravitate towards. I love a good crime, I love a good thriller. I'm not like really into a lot of true crime, although I do watch a lot of true crime on Netflix, so I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy this book. We will see how we go. And I liked that, you know, sort of the dark color scheme and subject matter was sort of a bit more spooky and murderous to align with the October Halloween type theme. Even though we haven't lived in our house for very long, I feel like I am forever rearranging things and adding in new bits and pieces. And I do want to put the final touches on my study/filming room by bringing in a desk, which has been much needed. My desk for, editing and all my computer work has sort of been the dining table, the kitchen island, my bed at times, various different locations, but I would like to have a dedicated space. So I'm going to start by giving it a vacuum and moving out this little hallway table into the spare bedroom, which is where I had it originally, but brought it in here to house the printer. But with the new desk that I purchased, I am excited that I can have my printer, all of my stationery, my diaries, and everything set up and organized in one spot. I just picked up this wooden desk from a local vintage shop, and we do need to do some creative maneuvering because it's not going to fit into the room through the door. So the plan is to go through the window instead. So I've set everything up on there, but I left this side blank because I really feel like I need some sort of plant. And I don't know if I should get like some dried florals that I already have, or if I should head up to Bunnings and see if they've got like a nice indoor plant that I can put there. Because I do think we need a little bit of something, a little bit of greenery or some sort of color. This is really the only dried floral I have here that I could use. I just got it from the spare room. I do think it looks okay, but I think that I need something green there. So I think I'll put that back and I'll go pick up a new plant. I do have 2 lots of dried eucalyptus stems here, but I have those both in locations that I like and I don't want to move them. Clearly I'm recording this outro prior to getting Dave to hang up my painting. Love some good continuity right here, but you gotta do what you gotta do in order to get things organized and get that content out to you guys. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that this video motivated you to get yourself set up for the new month ahead. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I upload new ones every single week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week and an awesome month, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.